there's something about money. Listen, if I go into a classroom and I write on a board money, I get the students' attention. I don't know what about it.
Where the money resides, where the money resides.
Yeah. Of course, it was Jesus himself that said it is more blessed to give than to receive, whether it's time, money, or just a kind word.
Yes.
Giving is powerful, and it might be just the secret to living a more fulfilling life. So, here to break it down for us is a man who's been helping us for some time.
Yes.
Even when I'm not here, I'm watching him. Master of finances, that's what he does. And today he's teaching us to see how we can navigate the master the art of giving. In fact, we want to have a good discussion. In fact, I want to ask you some questions. I want us to have a fruitful discussion about giving.
I agree.
Because especially in the context of faith, giving kind of get delicate for some persons, you know, inside the church. I was having a discussion earlier about tithing. I want to start there. And they said, are you going to tithe from your gross salary? Because for persons who are employed, for them, tithing is a percentage, 10% of their salaries monthly. And she asked me, should we tithe from the gross or from the net take-home? I said, that's an interesting question. I said, yes, we are instructed to tithe from the gross. And I said,
We are?
Are we?
Are we?
Are we?
And I don't get too personal with that because I think giving is a personal thing.
Agreed.
And when it comes to especially tithing and or giving to the church, if it is that you're giving from a place of compulsion, there is no blessing from that. If you're giving from a place of being forced or it's obligatory, there's nothing from it really and truly. The Lord will not show you more blessing on you if you are giving from a place of, we can't bother. Yeah. So I think that where your heart lies when you're giving, and you're giving cheerfully, when you're giving and you're giving impactfully, if that's a word, that is more potent than you say, I'm going to give from a gross and you complain because the government take the tax first. Once you're going to give from that place where you start to complain, my take home is 100,000, why am I giving from the 150? And you start to get so technical, it then takes away from the essence of giving. So I don't go into the debate if it's from the gross or from the net. Give as though it is laid on your heart to give, and I can guarantee you when you give cheerfully, the Lord will reward you cheerfully and even more.
Let's talk a little bit about why give. Because I know that it is common knowledge and common practice, as you just mentioned, tithing and so on. But there's more to the giving than just because we've been told to. Why are we giving?
And I'm glad we're doing this on Easter Monday because we can see the impact of generally, I'm speaking on money. Invest, grow, get. Remember, that's what we push every day on Money Masterclass. But on this Easter Monday, we can all recognize the benefit of someone giving and Christ giving his life. We can see the benefit of what it is that we are rebirthed and the grace that has been bestowed upon us because somebody gave.
That's right.
Translate that not from a financial perspective, but from a resource perspective. If the big God gave so we can have more, that's an example that we need to be following. Give of the resources that we have, give of the time. Persons are impacted, one, lives are elevated, two. The Bible says when you give to the poor, you're lending to the Lord. And God not owe bill, God not owe debt, you know? And if he says that we should be giving to the poor, we can recognize that how it is that we will benefit from that. And bear in mind, you don't give to get. Correct. You're giving to impact the lives, and the Lord in return, I can tell you, I'm going to sort it out.
The blessing may come back tenfold.
This is going to be a juicy discussion because I went into a bank recently and I was told by an officer of the bank, she was saying, to me, why is it that some of these pastors drive these high-end cars? It should not be so. I'm saying, why? I said, no, if you can afford to drive a high-end car, why not? No, sir, no. And a lot of the congregation are not driving like cars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question now. Does the Bible encourage wealth creation?
Definitely. The Bible encourages us that we should prosper on the financial side and we should be in good health. So I know sometimes we focus on just prospering money and we not take care of our bodies. It's a double fold. But I strongly believe that I love equity. I love that we should all, because I always say, if the Lord has blessed you, so why can't bless me? Why you have a jet and me homeless. And we're serving the same God. And sometimes it baffles me, which is why sometimes it impacts other people giving to the church, because we have seen so many pastors and leaders who have mismanaged funds and money and resources. So persons, I don't blame somebody who wants to be skeptical about giving to a church or a ministry, because sometimes you don't see the effect when they're trickling down to the average man. And I believe that there should be equity, because God's a God of fairness.
In that regard, when he says equity, he's speaking about fairness.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, not the equity for your accountants.
That 10%. But there's something to say, Yendi was like, hold on, let me see what going on here, sir.
IT and I brushed on this a couple of weeks ago when we were working together. We brought up the story of a particular pastor of we call him the big mega church.
Close the door.
Close the door.
Close the door.
A certain target to reach, and I personally was very clear that I don't believe that's of Christ, because I don't believe that the God that we know and all experience in a real way would want that. So I
it's dicey when it gets to some subject matter.
I definitely do not believe in the leaders of the churches living a completely lavish life, and the people who they're shepherding and guiding literally struggling to find a meal. That does not feel like equity to me.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I encourage it all the time. I said that when I just started. If the pastor ever said lock the door and force people to give, there is no blessing coming from that. Nothing at all. If I ever force me, lock me door, prison me, lock me up in here to be giving, there's no benefit in doing that. And I'm on the same page where Yendi is at. If it is that you are overly living a lavish lifestyle and the persons who are pouring into the ministry, bear in mind you're telling me I should be giving. And half the time we're saying that the Lord will reward you in heaven. So why you don't get your reward in heaven? Why you get your on earth and in heaven?
And how your rewards are material.
Or why is my reward only in heaven? So I think there must be a balanced approach. And I think that financial literacy plays an important part. Because sometimes the church, we encourage giving and money. So why don't we spread the message of financial literacy so the average man can start elevating themselves financially? Because if the Lord gives you resources and you're not managing that resource properly, you will not get wealthy. You won't get well.
So the pastor should come to masterclass.
They should come to masterclass. Call me to some sessions at your church.
But can we also talk, though, about the ripple effect of giving? Because it's more than just the money.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
The time.
I think when you give, it does something from an emotional perspective, it does something from a character perspective, it does something just to help people along. You feel better sometimes in giving. I have a foundation, and some days when we go out and we feed and we give, what you get is more precious than what you would have already given.
Wow, that's deep.
The reward for me is not I get back $10 million or $2 million. But knowing that somebody else's life is improved,
that's right.
May I say, yo, that feels better than $1 million Yendi. It feels better than $10 million.
So it's unquestionable about the power of giving.
You know, and you need to put that in your budget. In your budget every month, put a 10%, put a 5%, put a 20%. And give, which is why I don't say give only 10%. I believe in the power of free will giving. Some days I give 50%, 20%. I may get an income and the Lord say, give it all away. I've gotten that. The Lord said, give away every single thing. So for me, we need to put a line item in our budget. Give, touch somebody, bless somebody's life, man. In this Easter period, the Lord has given us life and eternal life and access to good and free salvation. Give some money this week.
And by the way, just for clarity, the give here is not just the tithing. When Carlton is talking about giving, you heard him mention us now about even how he gives back with his time, with feeding people, with taking care of the homeless. Give.
Yes.
Give.
And it will come back to you. Good measure.
Press down, together and running on. Something like that.
Wow, this is not our choir, ladies and gentlemen, but this was Carlton, and Carlton Stewart knows about money. But he don't know nothing about keys, staying on keys.
Deuteronomy 8:18. Look it up.
Look at you. All right. Thank you so much for being with us, Carlton. Really appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Of course, joining us this Easter Monday for Easter Monday Masterclass. Fantastic stuff. Again, as always, it's brought to you by Guardian Life. Up next, we're serving up some breakfast with
Sprat.
Sprat Nation Day. Come on. Because of course, course, what is Easter without some good sprat? What am I just telling about sprat? Just trust me now. Yeah. Stay with us, or as Ita says, stick and stay with us.